Sweet.
little
You're
jingle
so
bell.
sweet. Look at those
All
little
right, we're live.
paws.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you're watching us live, and thank you. If you're watching us on the replay, thank you for that. We're going to have a musical and art infused show today. So I'm going to reference a classic rock band because that's how old I am. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. They had a song with a lyric that I like. Welcome back, my friends, to a show that never ends. If you remember that song, Google it, you'll find it. So this is another musical interlude of Tech Tuesdays, which is a brief composition developed by the South Florida Tech Hub and the Owwll App. We have a very special guest, Andria Beal, and our mascot for the day, Richie, who may or may not sit the whole show. So
Hi, Richie.
take a look at Richie. We'll come back and introduce Richie. I am the director. I am Jeffry Ullman. I am the director of membership and partnership at South Florida Tech Hub. If you're not a member, reach out to me and we can talk about that. Bear with me. I've got a couple of announcements and then we'll get started with our musical interlude. I am on the Owwll app. If you want to reach out to me, my office hours are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern. And I'm periodically on demand. If you have the Owwll app, thank you. If you have not downloaded the Owwll app, you have time to download it. If you use a referral code of thank you, one word, we'll give you $10 to start with as a thank you, pun intended. So bear with me, a quick announcement, and then we'll move on to our first musical notes. I've got good news and bad news. The bad news is this is the last Tech Tuesday of 2024. We're going to be off the next 2 weeks. That's the bad news.
It's been a ride. It's been a ride.
The good news is, and I looked today, we have 17 replays that you can get your Tech Tuesday fix. So watch the replays next Tuesday and the following Tuesday. If you go to, they're on numerous platforms, but I suggest to go to YouTube under Owwll App and you'll see them all listed. 17 live and in person. Can you believe we've done 17 of these?
Wow. Amazing.
It doesn't seem like 17.
Hats off to you, Jeffrey.
Thank you. And we have a jam-packed schedule for 2025 as well. So quick announcement. Tomorrow night, we have the last networking event of 2024 for South Florida Tech Hub, Jingle and Mingle. It's a joint or three-way event with SIM, Society of Information Management, and ISACA, the Information Systems Audit and Control Association. I have to always write that down because that's a mouthful. That's why they say it's ZACA. It's a networking event, but it's also a toy drive for the Joe DiMaggio Hospital. So come, have fun, and bring a toy. Shout out to our sponsors. We wouldn't be able to have these events without sponsors. City Furniture, 35 Mules, eCentire, Pure Storage, Dexian, and the law office of James Steppen. So have fun, come out. Thanks again for watching. I'm going to have Cindy introduce herself first, and then Denis introduce herself, and then have Cindy introduce our expert of the day, Andria Beal. And depending on how he's feeling, Richie may make another guest appearance. We're not sure. By the way, we are live, and that is not an Android cat. That is not a stuffed animal.
Not an AI.
Not a robotic. Not an AI generated cat. It is a live and in-person cat.
Richie is so sweet. Look at
So
Richie.
there is a reason why we have a cat. I'll let Andria get to that when she talks about EpiPause. So I'm going to be quiet now for a while. Take it away, Cindy. Play your best chord.
Okay. Thank you, Jeffrey. This is amazing. What a great morning. We're here again on Tech Tuesday. Thank you, South Florida Tech Hub, and thank you, Owwll App. I am so excited. I am the founder of Owwll Media, and I'm also co-organizer of TEDx Boca Raton. We've been doing it for almost 10 years at the Boca Innovation Campus. Excited to be here, excited with this amazing group, and especially Dr. Andria Beal, and we're going to be jumping over to her in a minute, but I'm going to hand it over to Denis.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good evening and Good night.
Good night.
Wherever you are
Bye.
on LinkedIn.
Bye. That was
or-
fast. That was fast. I
Dennis
told you it'd
from,
go by fast.
from Media Components. I run a full service digital agency and also a media partner for South Florida Tech Hub. Yeah, I'm also excited to learn more about Dr. Andria's business. All about biomarkers, epigenetic biomarkers. So,
Sounds serious.
Dr. Andrea, can you give us a little bit intro about yourself, about your business, and how long you've been involved and how long you've been doing this?
Yeah, definitely. So, I got my PhD back in 2021, and that's where I started studying this thing called epigenetics, which is what my company is based on. So during that time, during my PhD, I created an age estimation test for dolphins, and I fell in love with how accurate we could estimate age in animals, and that's what gave me the idea to start EpiPause, because I thought about making one for dogs and cats. I've had pets in the past that I've adopted and didn't know how old they were. So I thought it'd be cool to give that to the pet community. I was actually blown away by how big of a market
Yeah.
there was, and that's
Mhm.
what kind of made me pause and realize that maybe I could do something more by starting this company, and even beyond age estimation with epigenetic biomarkers. We're able to measure health more accurately as well, using something called biological age.
Mhm.
And we can talk about it. That's always a confusing subject, is chronological versus biological age. So we can always get into that.
And
little
was
bit.
there a reason that you started with dolphins specifically?
Yeah, actually, I was studying epigenetics in sharks was where I started, and a colleague in my department came to me and said, "Hey, we see that you can do this age estimation test came out for whales." And he goes, "Can you make me one for dolphins?" And I took a look at the paper and I was like, "Yeah, I can definitely do this for you." So that's what kind of kicked it off.
Yeah, definitely a huge market, when it comes to pets and
Who
Yeah.
doesn't love
pet healthcare.
cats and dogs
Yeah.
and all other pets?
Especially Richie. Richie's the cutest.
know.
Oh my goodness.
I
Such
don't
a
think he
little
likes us so
cutie.
much though.
Aw, no, kitty cats are like that sometimes. They have to they have to get love, right?
Yeah.
And we were giving Richie love, but Richie
too
has to
much
get used to
love.
us, right?
He's playing hard to get.
To be
Yes.
fair to Richie, a lot of excitement before we started the show, and sometimes
Yes.
cats that aren't used to that. So
Yes.
We were making friends earlier. I think he's camera shy.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like a little teddy bear.
He is.
So, Andrea, I am curious because I always love to hear people's backstory. So maybe take us back to where you grew up and your backstory, and maybe even, where you went to school. I have a daughter that's doing pre-med right now, so I'm always interested in learning about, how you got into that, journey, and maybe you can share a little bit of that because I love hearing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started my, I guess we'll call it adult career, going to school and trying to figure out my way, I was going to go into medical field actually. And I was headed down the path to become a physician assistant. And I love to tell my students this because I do teach right now.
Where are you teaching?
Nova.
That's what I
Southeast-
thought.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm teaching genetics right now, as a postdoc. And I tell my students all the time, I was heading down the road to go to physician assistant school, and I went and got a job as a phlebotomist. So drawing blood. And I got a job as a phlebotomist, and I had to go into that job every single day. And it was a doctor's office, and then it was a hospital. And I realized that I did not fit in. It was not for me. I was good at it. I was really good at it. But just it wasn't fulfilling me.
Mhm.
And I really loved science at the time, and I got a undergrad position doing genetics research. And I loved it and I owned it. And I was just leading a project all on my own as an undergrad. And then I started presenting science. And that was like the most terrifying thing, was to get up in front of people and present something. And I had never done it before, and it was exhilarating. And so then I got into presenting, and I wanted to present more research. And so that's probably why I do decent at pitching nowadays.
It's good practice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
No, and I think it's so cool just being a woman and being a scientist. And maybe you can tell us what that's like, just as
And a founder.
and a founder, a woman founder who happens to be a doctor too. Yeah.
I think no matter who you are, whether you're a woman or a man, it's challenging,
Mhm.
for sure. And I don't know, maybe for me in my case, as far as maybe being a woman and doing all of this is when it comes back to the household and my other roles I should be fulfilling, perhaps it gets challenging
Yes.
because I'm putting so much time into my career and what I'm trying to achieve with both school and then all of a sudden a startup. So it was like nonstop. There was no time, not as much time as I would like to give to my family. So that's probably the most challenging part about it.
Mhm.
But other than that, I mean, it's been a blast finding my way, and I think it's challenging for whoever is trying to do it.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's obviously a passion for you, so it may not feel like work and you love what you do, which is really cool too.
Yes, absolutely. I'm constantly I have to be engaged, and if it's something that doesn't excite me, I'm not going to stick with it. That's for
Mhm.
sure. So,
And so what are you teaching at school, like specifically?
so right now, um, in the fall, I teach a genetics course, which is fun. It's a precursor to epigenetics, so I'm always sneaking in little tidbits about epigenetics to my students, preparing them for the next thing. Um, But, this semester, I actually teach a practicum, and we do epigenetics research in the lab. So it's nice. It's helpful. We get to process a few samples for EpiPause, which is always fun. And the students love to hear about EpiPause. So
I love to hear about it too. No, it's such a cool business, and I know so many people. We have 2 dogs. We know how old they are, but I think for so many people who get rescue dogs or have
Right.
puppies or think they're puppies, and I mean, we have a good friend that says, they have a rescue dog and they thought it was 11 when they got it, and it's still around like 7 years later. So it's
maybe
like,
it wasn't.
yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
So it's such a big industry, like you said. I mean, people, pets are part of our family, and I think
Mhm.
we're all pet owners here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
No, I think, speaking of a great market share, because now I'm starting to think, a lot of the pet shelters could be a great client of yours. I don't know if they are. So once before they, give away the pet or somebody adopts it, they can do a test,
Yeah.
or they can even do like genetic tests to see what kind of diseases this specific breed can be, can
Prone
have
to.
yeah,
Oh
prone
yeah,
to.
absolutely. Yeah,
And
we're collaborating with some of the shelters right now, trying to figure that out. With shelters,
hmm
they're largely operated by volunteers, which makes it challenging to implement any kind of
hmm
system or way of really working with them. So
hmm
we're still figuring that part out. But also, there's corporations that work with them and have more systems in place for some of the bigger ones. And so that's another way we're.
Yeah, like Humane Society, for example.
Mhm.
I think it's government funded,
Yeah.
right? So they
Mhm.
probably would have some kind of a budget to get EpiPause
Exactly.
in
And it's really hard to find the right people to talk to there.
hmm
I'm still on the search for some of
a
those
connection
people.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You use the term epigenetics. I think most lay people have an idea what genetics are, but what is epigenetics, and is that related to what you were saying before between biological age and chronological age? So that may be a two-part question.
Yeah.
You can take them in any order you want.
No worries. So yes, epigenetics. A good way to remember it is epi means above or beyond. And so epigenetics is literally referring to molecules and mechanisms that are acting upon the DNA. So, epigenetics, what we're really looking at is differences in how your and not get back to some real life cases. So if you room to adjust to that new temperature so that it can survive and thrive in this new environment.
Fascinating. Yeah.
So everything environmental is affecting epigenetics. From anything like the food you eat is an environmental variable. And that's what we talk a lot about when it comes to EpiPause. And that's one of the first things we're exploring is how food is affecting health. And that is directly affecting epigenetics, something we can measure to better understand how food affects.
Yeah.
With that, epigenetics plays a key role in the actual aging process. And so that's what we're really looking at is how it changes with physical age, how long an animal is alive, and that's why we can very accurately estimate age. But then also on the biological age side, so how your organism, dog, and we were to run a biological age test and it says that they're 10. That means they have accelerated aging. They're aging too quickly. They're unhealthy. And the beauty of it is that we can work to make that biological age look more like it should. We can reverse it essentially. And
Wow, that's amazing. Now, is it possible to use this technology for humans?
yes,
You already developed like your formula. You can just be duplicated with other companies
Is
for
it being
humans.
used for humans at all?
it is being used
Yeah.
for humans. So actually in the human space, there's been more research age so far. And there are just a ton of companies popping up all over the place for direct to consumer biological age testing for humans. It's very expensive right now. And that's part of our approach with trying to adapt this and do it for dogs and cats is that we have to be more price sensitive. When it comes to your pets. Yes, you're willing to pay a lot. Lots of pet owners will pay
Anything sometimes.
anything for their
Right.
pets, but when we're talking about proactive health, it has to be more on the affordable side. We're bringing a very proprietary, unique approach in the lab to make it more targeted testing that's more affordable and everyone can use, hopefully.
That's so cool. I know that that's why I was asking if it is being used because I remember I read the book Life Force with Tony Robbins, and I think they are doing some biological testing for humans in
Yes,
different
absolutely.
facilities that
Mhm.
they have. But I was just curious with the pets, how does the process work? Like, what do you do? How long does it take? How much does it cost? You know, those types of things. And drum roll, we need to talk about this exciting news that happened recently.
We'll come back to that.
Yes.
I'm not going to let her go without that.
That's why I'm like teasing it out, Jeffrey.
Big night news,
Yeah.
not breaking news.
Yep. All right. So
Stay tuned, guys. Don't go anywhere.
So with our current test in the market is the pet age test, and this is for chronological age. So if you don't know how old your pet is, we can estimate its birthday with a lot of accuracy. How this works is you would order a kit either from our website, epipause.com, or we're also on Amazon, and you'd get it in the mail, swab your pet. We have all the instructions in the kit. I forgot to bring a kit to show everyone, but it's just
It's about this big.
yeah, it's just a little swab kit. The exciting part happens when you send it back. So once they send the kit back, we check it into the lab. It typically takes 4 to 6 weeks right now to process. Epigenetics is a little more, there's a lot more entailed in the lab than a genetic test. So it takes a little bit longer. We're still working on some new methods for that, speed things up. And then we'll get the sequencing and we calculate the age with our proprietary algorithms. And so what we'll do is people create a user profile on our platform and they will get a result on there. And in addition to getting a suggested birthday, we also talk about that life stage that the pet is in. That's the most important thing you're really getting is, are they a young adult, a mature adult, a senior, and how do you care for that animal in that life stage? So we give some suggestions and build up the value of finding out how old their pet is. And then we also, for funsies, give a zodiac.
So,
Oh,
it
fun. That's
sounds like a
great.
similar experience, that humans go through, like get a genetic test, like 23andMe and these
Absolutely.
other ones, and you get like a little graph and report at the end, what diseases maybe your ancestors prone to,
Yeah.
or
And so,
what for pets, this is the specific breed would be prone to, right?
and that's really exciting. We're going to do something very similar to that with the biological age when we move into that. Right now, we're hoping to be launching a direct to consumer version of a biological age test for
Mhm.
dogs and cats
Mhm.
by summertime. We're working to try and speed up that time frame and offer it sooner, but definitely by summer we'll be ready. And with that, a big differentiator between genetic testing and the risk factors you get with that is that it's more real time.
Mhm.
With the epigenetics, it's not, do you have a predisposition to develop a disease? It's,
We
are
got Richie
you?
typing up away in the
There we go.
studio.
If we lose the signal, it's Richie's fault.
Richie's answering the comments on the live.
Yeah.
Thanks, Richie.
Sounds exciting. I'm glad we're here at the beginning of it, where it
Hi,
sounds like
Richie.
Yeah, so
mainstream soon.
so you heard it here first, almost, about EpiPause. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people that want to actually order the kit, Andrea. So why don't you go ahead and spell the URL if someone wants to go to your website as well.
That's epipause.com, EPIPAWS.com.
Okay. And I'm sure people are going to want to follow up with you potentially on LinkedIn and on the Owwll app. I don't know if you've thought about going on demand or have office hours or and what they are. Have you had a chance to think about that?
Yeah, so I was thinking that I might be able to do office hours on Friday afternoons, and definitely I could fit in some time on the weekends.
Okay.
Just super busy with EpiPause otherwise.
You're a busy lady, and actually, a lot of people. I follow a lot of people. A lot of people do go live on the weekends because they have available time. So that's fine. That's a nice feature of the Owwll app. It really is 24/7 and multiple time zones. So, you want to have your pet tested? Go to epipause.com. Reach out to Dr. Beal or Andria on LinkedIn or Al. So I'm going to shift gears a little as to what Cindy was alluding to. So I've been watching Shark Tank. I think the full 10 years it's been on. It's an amazing show.
Me too, big fan.
Yeah, I love the show. I've learned a lot. And I guess my favorite, I'm not sure if he's my favorite shark, but he probably is secretly, is Denis,
Mr. Wonderful?
Mr. Wonderful. God, I forgot his name. Denis O'Leary.
Kevin.
Kevin O'Leary. Sorry, not Denis O'Leary. Denis is the comedian. Sorry. Kevin O'Leary from Canada.
You've got Dennis right here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That could be a shark.
I'm sorry. Interesting guy. So I'll let Andrea fill in the details. You had an experience, let's say, with Kevin recently.
Yeah, so
And congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so I got a unique opportunity to pitch live on stage. So a little bit different than Shark Tank.
Mm-hmm.
Live on stage at NobleCon to something called Croc Tank that they, schemed up.
Is that the first year they're calling it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't think it had ever been done before. And so there were supposed to be 3 pitches, and I was actually the 4th choice to go pitch. And so they made a special exception and let me come
Wow.
pitch. So that's the first exciting part of the story, is that I wasn't even supposed to.
Some
be there.
behind the scenes info. It's not in the article if you read the article.
Yeah.
meant to
So you get to know the inside scoop now. So I got this awesome opportunity. I was second to pitch them that night, and it was Kevin O'Leary, Robert Hershevek, and Damon John. And I was really excited because Kevin O'Leary had invested in my closest comparable, BasePause.
Wow.
Did not know that.
Yeah. And I talk about BasePause all the time, especially when I'm, figuring out what my potential valuation for this company is for fundraising. And that's my closest comparable. And they had an amazing exit. No one knows the actual number. It's non-disclosed, but we know that it's very high up
It's
there.
big.
Yeah, there's articles that say 50 million, and it's
Wow.
rumored that it's much higher than that. So,
Mhm.
but no one knows for sure. And so that was one of Kevin O'Leary's most successful exits. So I was coming into this pitch knowing I had 15 minutes to just get something across, and I was like, well, I've got to hook him. I've got to let him know that what we're building is very similar to Base Paws. They were a cat genetic testing company. And we're building out something very similar, a database that is very, very valuable. Our most valuable aspect of our company, actually, compared to all the testing that we do. And it's on epigenetic data instead of genetic data. So it's fresh and new and something that no one has. So it's a very, very similar process to what they went through, how we're building our company. And I knew the founder of Base Paws, Anna Skaya, and she's been mentoring me
Oh,
last few
wow.
months. Yeah,
Great
I've been
connection.
picking up on everything she's learned building out Base
Very
Paws.
smart.
You probably know every epigenetic expert in the world, I would imagine.
I'm working on that, actually. That is a process. There's a lot of them out there, actually.
So
Okay.
when you mentioned you have a large database, how many different pets information or unique?
So right now we have close to 1,500 in our data set. And it will be growing exponentially over the next few years. Yeah. And
Ju-
in multiple time points too, because with epigenetics, unlike genetics, so here's a big difference: is with genetics, it's a one and done. Your DNA sequence isn't changing over time.
Mhm.
Epigenetic data is changing all the
Ah,
time.
interesting.
So we want to measure that longitudinally to understand how health changes over time.
Mhm.
So our
And
data
maybe
set's
how
gonna
it
be like-
changes and why it changes, right?
yeah, exactly. Comparing it to the different environmental variables, like, oh, this animal was eating this food and then they switched to this food, and how did that change everything? Also, how do diseases develop? That's another part of our product pipeline, is getting into diagnostics.
So just to make sure we don't get too far off, you didn't do the punchline with your experience with Kevin. What did he ultimately end up investing?
Yep. So we have an offer for 250K. That's what we received, and we're working through that right now because it was really, really recent. So
Very, very
It's an offer. You
cool.
have not breaking news.
Breaking
I
news.
assumed you had accepted. You have not officially accepted, if you don't mind me asking.
no, there's a due diligence process.
Oh,
After
okay.
even on Shark Tank, people go through due diligence.
Right. Whoop.
We got a call. We got a call.
Up.
Oh, look who's here.
Kevin Cox.
Kevin.
Dr. Cox. You there? Oh, give him a minute.
He was there that night too.
Hello, Kevin.
Dr. Cox.
Another PhD in the house. Another
there?
doctor.
Well, while
What-
he's loading, during my time at FAU Tech Runway,
Mhm.
Kevin Cox was one of my mentors. So
Nice.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot. I wanted to put a plug in for Tech Runway because you are a alumni and a graduate. Talk a little about your experience because they're local and they're amazing.
They are amazing.
And Kevin, Dr. Cox, I'm going to call him Dr. Cox, is there. So why don't you talk a little about FAU Tech Runway?
yeah, FAU Tech Runway, I can't recommend it enough for entrepreneurs. It's a year-long program. They give you your own set of personal mentors that act as your board for while you're early startup, and you meet with them once a month. You can meet with them more often. And I had Kevin Cox as one of my mentors, along with 3 others. So I had 4 total. And I actually, one of my other mentors has stayed on the company as a fractional CFO.
Oh,
type
wow. Who's
position.
that?
He's advising Ron DeBonzo.
Okay. Okay. I
Yeah.
know some of the mentors over there. That's why I was just curious. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. And he was so helpful during my time at FAU Tech Runway. I had lots of business talks that I had never done before with some corporations that were interested in distributing the test. And Ron went to the meetings with me and was right there by my side. So it was really great.
Wow. So all you founders, all you female founders, if you want a little advice, I'm sure you're open to helping other founders, especially to Andrea. A little personal note. I met Andrea, I think, over 2 years ago. She pitched at our Ignite night. Actually,
That's where I saw Andrea
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Not the most recent, the one before that, and won that event, that Ignite event. So known Andrea a long time. I've seen your journey. I think you're amazing. I think the product's amazing. So I was pleasantly surprised and shocked because you told me also they didn't pre-announce that you were going to be presenting at NobleCon. It was not known, and I just happened to see it the next day. It's like, whoa, I know her. She's world famous now.
Yeah, they
So
told us to keep it on the lowdown and not really
I don't quite know why.
I'm not sure either.
I would have gone and watched you if I'd known you were going to be there. So anyway,
Weren't you tied to win at the Ignite? You were.
Yeah. So
So you got
not-
half of the prize or 25,000?
Yeah, we split the
Yeah.
so first and second place had big prizes and they just kind of combined them together.
Right.
and split
Yes,
them in
that's what
half.
I remember now. Yeah.
Me and another female
Yes.
founder.
Yes.
right.
won.
So the other winner, and I'm trying to get her on the show. This is the
Anti promise.
thank you. The actual name of the company.
Name.
Me too.
I couldn't resist to have a company called Panty Promise on the event. I'm trying to
They
get.
have a great mission too.
Yeah, it really is fascinating. And actually, that's totally personal note. That's one of the fun things about this job is I get to meet people like Andrea and get to know them. Oh, Kevin Cox, you live?
This is
This
Jeb.
is Jeb.
Okay,
Hello, Jeb.
Jeb, how are you?
Hello, team. How is everybody? You're looking good today,
Thank you.
Back to the
You
show,
too.
Jeb.
So,
especially Richie.
thank you. I'm going to totally switch gears back to our musical theme for today. I forgot to mention in my intro, as I often do, Cyberdelics, the Tech Hub house band, is going to be making an appearance tomorrow night at our event. So if you want to come see Jeb on lead guitar and vocals, and Kelly Boyle on vocals, come to our event. And why don't you talk a little about? Well, first of all, Jeb, why don't, for those that don't know you, introduce yourself, introduce Centuric, and talk about the event tomorrow.
Yes, Cyberdelics Riot again. I love it.
Woot
Um,
woot.
we usually play at the yearly event in December. So even though the Tech Palooza isn't happening until next year now, I'm glad that we get the opportunity to play for the community. We really look forward to it. So my name is Jeb Reynolds. As Jeffrey said, my company is Centuric. We are an expert cybersecurity and managed IT services firm, which basically means that for all things cybersecurity or IT related that your company might need, you can come to us and we can basically be your external IT department. So obviously I've been with Tech Hub. If you watch the podcast, you perhaps have heard me say this before, but I was one of the first ambassadors for Tech Hub when the program was initiated a few years back, soon after the merger between Palm Beach Tech and South Florida Tech Association, right after Nikki took over. So she started this program and she got me involved, and I've been involved and dedicated ever since. So I'm big fans of Tech Hub here in my household. And, thank you again for continuing to include us. And of course, Centuric is a member of Tech Hub. And for all those out there who are listening, who might be interested, speak to Jeffrey. It's definitely worth your while.
Thank you.
I'd also like to say hello to Andrea. Nice to meet you. Very interesting stuff. I've been listening along here.
You have a question for her, Jeb?
Well, I guess for someone like me, it took me a long time to sort of figure out what I was into enough to make it my life's work, right? And I'm guessing Andrea is the type of person who knew very early on, it sounds like, that she wanted to be around pets and work with pets. So I'd just like to hear about that journey. And obviously you're doing something you love with animals that you love. And when did you decide that that's what you were going to do?
So I guess along my journey, as I was starting school, and I was thinking I would be in the medical field. When I had my, we were talking about this earlier. I don't know if you missed it, but I got a job as a phlebotomist, so I could, and that's drawing blood, so I could really immerse myself in the medical field to make sure I want to be there. And as I was working in the doctor's office and seeing what that was like day in and day out, and then the hospital, I realized that I didn't want to be there every single day in an office. I enjoyed being outdoors, and doing other things. And so, and at the time, I was starting to volunteer as a student in a genetic lab. And so I was like, oh, I'd love to be a scientist. And so at first I was like, well, if I'm not going to go in the medical field, maybe I'll do medical science. That seems like a safe bet. Because my dad, always growing up, my dad always wanted me to be a doctor. And he was like, you're so smart, be a doctor. It's a safe route. Everything's safety.
He must be so proud of you.
Yes, he was. He's no longer with us.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry.
How about your mom?
She is.
So your mother got to see your
Your mom must be so proud of you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, she was crying when she saw me like pitch the Sharks.
Aw, amazing.
Didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
No worries. And so yeah, it was a slow switch from being on medical route to a scientist to then deciding, you know what, I really want to work with animals. I love animals. I'm going to be a scientist for animals. So it did take a little bit. I think I always wanted to probably be that. And I thought about being a veterinarian, actually, was the first switch. So it was, physician assistant. And then I wanted to work with animals. So then I was like, oh, well, I'll be a veterinarian, I'll be a doctor for pets. Vet schools are far and few between. And I wasn't in a position to move to where one of the schools was at the time. So then I was like, you know what, I'll be a scientist. And I'm so glad I did.
I think so too, because even vets are in the office all the time, you know.
Right.
So
Yep. Nope, absolutely. I would have had the same issues, I think, going that route.
yeah, even though
And I'm guessing, Andrea, that you obviously had pets growing up, right? What kind of pets did you have growing up?
So I've always had dogs growing up. But I always wanted a cat, and I still haven't owned my own cat. My brother, on the other hand, he has 4 cats now, so he's bringing it home for us.
right, he's
cat
making
friend.
up for the cat.
Yeah, exactly. I can go get cat love from his house.
Aw. And Steph too, with Richie, we can get cat love from Richie.
Richie to the studio.
And Richie has a brother.
Rufus.
Rufus.
Rufus and Richie.
Aw, Rufus and Richie.
I think we should make them our experts of the day on our
Yes,
first show in
mascots.
2025.
Oh, I'm looking at Richie now. He's so sweet.
I have an idea. T-shirts, mascot T-shirts. We'll sell the shirts and donate it to charity. How's that?
Owwll and Richie.
Well, or yeah, okay. Or we'll do it for profit. To be determined. Those were great questions, Jeb. Thank you.
Jeb, what about you? You have any pets?
We have my parents live nearby where I live. And so even though technically they have a dog, I call it the family dog because I'm sort of and his name is Rufus too, strangely enough. Yeah. So, I'm sort of like a grandparent to this dog where, when I feel like I want to hang out with him, I'll grab him and I'll spoil him. And then I'll return him to my parents before there's, any responsibility kicks in.
Yep. No late nights and
Very cool.
No
helping
working.
them clean their heinies when they need it.
Yes. Aw, and
So-
they need it sometimes.
So, Jeb, did you this is totally random. Did you hear my intro in my classic rock reference?
I did not. I had
Okay.
some trouble connecting right as
Okay.
the show was starting. So I think maybe my internet dipped out and I missed that. So what was the reference?
It was Emerson, Lake and Palmer reference. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. I don't know if you play that song.
I don't, but I'm definitely familiar with it.
Yeah, a lot of organ in that song. I don't think y'all have an organist, or do you?
We do.
You do?
No,
have
we
an
do now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
Wow,
our
love it.
bass player is Christian Block. Very, very, very good bass player. He's also a VP and executive director of IT at FAU. And it turns out, I had never met her before, but it turns out that his wife is also a very talented keyboard player and singer. So she plays the keyboard for us, sometimes organ, and she's also taken a lot of the pressure off of me doing all the vocals. So yes, she's you'll get to meet her tomorrow, Jeffrey. If you haven't
Okay.
before.
So come out tomorrow night, get to meet Jeb live and in person, both personally and professionally. Hear him sing and play guitar. Hear the Cyberdelics. Hear Kelly Boyle, who rocks as well. So
Vivacious Kelly Boy.
anything else you want to mention?
But I really enjoying the topic. Cats and dogs. So, congratulations to Andria. I'm not sure if you're going tomorrow, but hopefully I'll get soon. And, again, we'll be there at 94th Aero Squadron tomorrow night after work for the Jingle and Mingle. So I look forward to seeing you all there.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Jeb.
Bye, Jeb.
I forgot to mention the venue, 94th Aero Squadron near the Miami airport. Very, very interesting venue. If you've never been there, it's worth going.
Sounds really cool.
Very cool.
Okay, I have another question for Andria while we're in between
Go ahead.
callers, owl callers. So with all the amazing owls out there and people listening, or owlets, I guess, owls and owlets, tell us who your specific target market is, who you're looking for, what type of connections would be valuable for you. I want to know personally too, because obviously Denis and I and Jeffrey and Jason, we know a lot of people in the community and outside of the community, and there's a lot of listeners. So if there's any way we can help you and help the mission of EpiPause, which we think is amazing, we'd love to do that.
So target customer right now is, at least for the pet age test, is pet owners with adopted pets, of course, often getting them from shelters or rescues where we really don't know how old they are. But I've had it's interesting, I've had some fosters that buy the test for their foster pups and kittens, and to help find them the perfect home by knowing their age. So that's always nice. I'm interested in any shelters that want to work with us in some capacity. We'd love to help out. But then more broadly, I mean, any pet owner that is concerned and wants a better way of tracking their pet's health, we do have a citizen science program in place right now where they can join us, help us, develop this next test, the biological age, and also collect data towards new diagnostics so we can improve the way we monitor our pet's health. So any pet owner that's really dedicated to their pet's health.
I think that's going to be a huge component too,
Yes.
because as a parent of a pet, 2 pets, one of our dogs just turned 12, and it's one of those things, I wonder, I hope, she's healthy. I want her to be around for another long time. She's been around, for a long
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah, for us, me and my husband, we had 4 dogs that we had got when we were 18. It was our, big adult decision to have
Aw.
a house full of dogs. And by the time I was ending my PhD, they had all turned into seniors. And it just felt like we were blindsided by illness and death, and I just felt like there has to be a better way to know, when something's going wrong with their health and something to do about it. And really, current health monitoring tools, blood chemistries and scans and stuff like that, they just don't catch disease until disease has progressed significantly. And so that's what we're trying to do better with epigenetics.
So are you planning to go international with this eventually? Because America's only,
Yep.
so many. If you go worldwide,
I think she'd do fine with just American pet owners, but yeah,
we're all
global is great. Yeah.
So when I first launched the test, I had some help from a friend that has a genetic testing company in Australia.
Wow.
Actually, and some of my very first sales were in the US and in Australia, all at the start of things in January of 2023. It was very expensive to ship things to Australia, so it wasn't sustainable, but it was a good gauge that there is a market over there as well. So actually, right now, we are running some ads to collect some leads to see if we could do a batch again for Australia, because one of our colleagues, a new member of EpiPause, he's located in Australia. So it helps us have a position or be in a position to start bringing, expanding. We're also recently talking to a genetic testing company. It's actually a cat genetic testing company right now, but I think they're going to do dogs too in France.
Wow.
And they want to offer the age test there too. So we're figuring out a way for them to do that as well.
That's exciting. And I think pet lovers everywhere, really around the globe, would be so interested. And I also think with, we see on TV all the time or on our social media, the food now has shifted, right? It's fresh food for animals, and people are really, treating their animals. I know when we were growing up, it was very different. I had animals growing up, and now it's like people are really making that investment. So the timing is so perfect to sort of piggyback, and people, our pets are family. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hear all the time, like, there's people who it's more expensive to feed the dog than the kids.
Tell me about it. I just signed up to this farmer's dog.
yes.
I saw a commercial on a podcast, but it's not cheap, that's for sure. So, how long have you been a member of Tech Hub, and how has this organization helped you with your business?
Yeah, so I became a member of Tech Hub starting last year when I co-won the Ignite pitch.
Okay.
I got a free membership, which was amazing because I'm an early startup and I can't afford many memberships. So that was a great opportunity. And it's been really nice to just be a part of another community and get access to, events and things going on. It's always helpful.
I have another question with FAU. Did you do a pitch competition to get inside of Tech Runway, or how did that go? So just for like listeners who might be interested in getting involved.
So there is an application process. It doesn't involve having to get up and pitch. So if you're not ready for that,
Excuse
don't
me,
worry.
Andrea. Crystal, is that you?
Hey yo, how you doing?
How you doing? So just a little background. We had Jeb Reynolds on before. That was a previous expert of the day from a musical perspective. We had Crystal on a couple of weeks ago from an art perspective. I'll let Crystal explain what RoboHood does and what she does. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Crystal? Talk a little about RoboHood, and I think you've got some news based on who also appeared with you on the previous Tech Tuesdays.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Yes, so my name is Crystal. I'm an artist and the marketing director for RoboHood Inc. So we have a software that we developed that takes any image that you upload and it translates it into digital brushstrokes for any robotic arm to paint onto canvas or wood or clothing. So from any photo, we can turn it into a painting with a robotic arm. I'm actually right here. I have a painting going in front of me for a custom painting right now.
Crystal, I'm going to interrupt you because one of the neat things that you do, which is relevant for this topic, if someone sends you a picture of their cat or their dog, you can have your robot arms paint a really beautiful picture. So talk a little about that as well, that service.
Yeah, so one of the services we offer is a custom painting. So if you just send us a photo through our website, then I will take that photo and use it with our software and play with the different styles and palettes that we have and create a custom painting on canvas for you. So we've done that with pets, with portraits, lots of I think we've done more pets than human portraits. I think people would rather have portraits of their pets than their own faces.
Forget getting the kids painted. Let's paint the dogs.
Yes, yeah, I see that way more.
So cute.
Dog's cuter.
Yeah.
Can you put the website in the chat, Crystal? Just so anyone.
Well, go ahead and say it. It's pretty clear, but go ahead and spell it out.
Yeah, I don't see how to do the chat. It's www.robohood.com. So it's ROBOHOOD.com.
I love it. Great.
I interrupted you, Crystal. Sorry, I got so excited. Finish it. You were telling
worries.
us a little about the background of RoboHood.
Right. So that's our software. So primarily we sell the software, and we also sell it in combination with the robot. We also do events like event entertainment. Well, we'll bring the robot to an event and paint any image related to the event or a logo for a sponsor or anything like that. We also like to work with artists who would like to collaborate, and whether that be an AI artist or someone who's collaborating it by having it do like an outline and then they paint the rest. But yeah, going into what you preluded there was last time that we were on the show was the first time that we had met Lawrence Gartell. So he was showing off his scars. He is coined as the father of digital art. Um, so we appreciate you introducing him to us because a little announcement here. We have recently taken him
Breaking
on
news.
as our
Breaking news.
yes, we've recently taken him on as our latest like artist ambassador. So like an artist face of the company. So he'll be collaborating with us, and he's already created almost like 10 paintings with his digital works. And I really want to do a podcast with him about it because people don't realize how much creativity that he puts into each painting. I think they think that he just puts the photo in and then it just paints his painting, but he will play with multiple layers and change the brush height each time and change out the colors and change his original photos to match how he wants it to come out. So he's really getting into it, and that's a really exciting collaboration that we're starting with him. So
That is
yeah, thank
exciting.
you.
Congratulations. He's amazing. And that is something to be so proud of, Jeffrey, for South Florida Tech Hub and Owwll putting more people together, making
We
collaboration.
one of our 4 core pillars is community, which a large part of that is networking. So that's one of the reasons we do Tech Tuesdays. Go ahead.
Have to come
Thank
back
you
and
for that.
visit
Thank
again.
you.
So given
Yeah.
I booked a guest, I'll talk to myself about having you and Lawrence back on for
Yeah, that'd be
repeat
great.
visit.
That'd be great.
Part 2.
Mental note. Mental
Mental note to me. Talk a little about that you actually showed some of his work and your work at Art Basel in Miami.
Yes. Yeah. So Art Basel was super busy for us. We had 4 different exhibitions and events going on that week. One night we had 3 events in one night. So we were all spread out with robots all over. So he did a collaboration exhibition with us and displayed it at Spiritually Hungry in Miami. So it was a collaboration showing with Stephen Gampson. And on the opening night of the exhibition, they had all sorts of art. They had AI art visuals on the screen that even had robots painting and AI and AI music and lots of art everywhere. So he did an exhibition of his digital pieces, about 6 of those, as well as all of his collaboration works with us so far. So he had 7 pieces painted so far. And then he was live painting with the robot throughout the exhibition too. So creating a new piece.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow. Very neat.
Yeah.
Thank you for. Oh, did you have a question, Dennis? If you did,
Yeah, Crystal, do you have any questions for our guest, Dr. Andria?
I think you were already talking about it in the beginning of the about testing on people. I'm sure you get that a lot. I'm sure your market right now is with animals, but I think that's super intriguing. I know a lot of, or I've met a few people actually who, like 2 people in my lifetime who don't actually know their actual birthdays. So
Oh,
I
really?
think that would
Oh my
be
gosh.
really interesting.
That's like
Yeah.
a record because most people, a lot of people know how old they are as far as that. What is interesting is even with chronological age, it did start with humans first, and it was for forensics. So that's how we make sense. Everyone's like, why would people need an age estimation test? And it's actually for forensics. So when there's nobody in the room, but you need to find out who was there.
Mhm.
It'd be great to know about how old they were, as well as knowing if it was male or female for, victim or suspect. So that's where it started. But with the biological age, they are doing it for humans already. But I think us EpiPause, we will be contributing to what we know in the human space of biological age, because with pets, what's nice is that they have a little less environmental variables. It's more controlled setting, even if we're working with uh, people, general pet owners and dogs and cats in houses. That dog or cat, they know what they've fed them. The dog or cat didn't go out and party last night. You have no idea what went in. It's more controlled, right? And less bad things like bad choices. We'll say that. So with that being said, we'll learn a lot and make a lot of connections between food and
Lifestyle.
yeah, lifestyle,
Right.
exercise, and things like that are a little bit harder to make with humans because there's just so many variables. And so in that sense, we'll eventually be able to give back to the human side of things. Possibly, my choice would be not direct to consumer, but with corporations, which is a huge part of our business model, is to work with corporations and bring them this technology to make their products better.
Great. Interesting. Thank you.
All right, Crystal, thanks for taking the call. Congrats.
Yes,
Bye,
thank you so much.
Crystal.
Thanks for reaching out. Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Andrea, can you speak to a little bit how are you working with corporations? Because I just want to get my head around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a big part of our business model. Is yes, we want to help pet owners and veterinarians be able to monitor health, but at the same time, there's a lot of applications for this technology when it comes to developing, say, a food product. So now, right now,
Oh, I get it. Those
Yeah.
types of corporations. Yes.
so food is the first one. Pharmaceuticals is
Yeah.
another one we want to work
How
with.
it affects the pets.
Yeah. So with pharmaceuticals, just like with genetics, how they might do genetic screening and say, well, there is some genetics that just don't do well on this drug. You can
Mhm.
do that with epigenetics as well. So then there's the opportunity to make like a pre-screen or a post-screen test to go along with certain drugs
Yeah.
that affect health, and making sure that everyone's safe with getting on and off a drug.
Yeah, I love that. No, that makes so much. When you said corporations, I was thinking like corporations that have employees with pets. Like, I was thinking of those strategic alliances, but this makes
like
These are more manufacturers.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
exactly. Yes. No, that makes sense. Absolutely. No, it's
Yeah.
smart. And why wouldn't they want to work with you? Because they're going to get insight into making their product better.
Absolutely. We're already so food companies have jumped on this right away, and I think it's just in human we see the connections between epigenetics and food.
Mhm, mhm.
So I think the food companies were quick to realize that there was a value add to their programs by incorporating epigenetics. So we have a couple different partners in the food space already. And we're starting to talk to pharmaceutical companies. This is more of like a new use case. And so we're just really looking for our big first opportunity to pilot this use case and show that it brings value to them.
And since we're a tech hub, technology oriented, what kind of latest technologies or AI do you use within your company for the research or to help you with your
Yeah.
day to day?
So with analyzing data sets is where it's coming into play right now, because our data sets are getting very large, very complicated, lots of metadata variables. So that's where technology really helps us, is using the newest, latest and greatest analyses and statistical methods. So yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it's a game changer because when you have so much data and you can now put it into, these.
Yeah, help us make these
Yes.
connections. And even it's interesting in the research space. So when we do sequencing, there's all different kinds of machines you could use, and each machine comes with its own set of
Protocols.
variables and how the data comes out. There's always an error around the data, right? And there's variation. So in order to make it comparable between different machines, different data sets, we can use AI now to help us normalize data, which this is getting more technical. But that's another place where AI is coming into play for us, is so we can
Nice.
compare data sets.
I love it.
Great.
Interesting.
Did you grow up in Florida, Andrea?
No, I grew up in North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
And I lived
okay.
in Texas before this for about 8 years.
Well,
The time
Th-
has come.
this is the sad part of the show. I hate this because I'm sure we could go for a lot longer. But I wanted to thank you, Dr. Beal, for everything. Why don't we go around the table and mention any parting thoughts or anything you'd like? Dennis, why don't you go first, and
Yeah.
then we'll have Cindy, and we'll let Dr. Beal go last. I guess I'll go last.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for having me as one of the co-hosts, Jeffrey. And
You're welcome.
It's really insightful conversation. I'm already starting to think some potential referrals or corporations or even pet owners that I can refer to
I
your business.
appreciate it.
So I'm looking forward
That'd
to
be great.
learning more about your company. So that's it. Thanks, and hopefully see you guys next week.
No, we're not going to be here next week. We're off the following 2 weeks.
I'll be here.
See the replay next
Watch the
week.
replay.
I'll be here in spirit then.
There you go. Watch the replay next
You
week and
can
the
come,
following.
Dennis. We won't be here.
Hey man,
It's okay. Dennis is so fixed and so excited about Tech
I'm
Tuesdays.
just here every week.
Cindy,
First of all, just such an honor to sit here next to Dr. Andria Beal, and a scientist, a woman making waves in her space. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to follow you and hopefully help you in any way that we can, because I think I'm definitely thinking of some alliances and introductions. Dennis and I have $1 million weekend coming up in February. So reach out to us if you're interested in getting more information. We may have Andrea speak if she's available. We have,
It's a great topic.
yeah,
Yep.
we have
Send you more info.
speakers and panelists, etc. And just reach out to Jeffrey about South Florida Tech Hub, Jingle and Mingle coming up
Tomorrow night.
tomorrow night. And
Cyberdelics.
of course, Owwll, the Owwll app. And we have TEDx Boca Raton next year coming too.
Let's
So
give a shout out to Stephanie and Jason behind the scenes.
Stephanie, Jason, and Richie.
Richie,
Right.
Jason.
So
Thank you, Jason.
the $1 million
And
weekend
Steph. Thank you.
is out on Eventbrite. So if you'd like to get more information to register, it's out on Eventbrite. So Dr. Beal, parting thoughts?
This was fun. This is fun. Thank you so much for having me. It's
It's been fun.
It's fun. That's enough.
We can't wait to see what happens with the Sharks too.
Yes.
Yeah, Kevin
So-
O'Leary.
going on.
So we're gonna follow you on all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google, Pinterest.
And the Owwll app, I
Just
have
make-
it.
Make sure you an Owwll. Yeah, just make sure you keep us updated on your progress.
So I
Absolutely.
have Andrea on the Owwll app.
Mhm.
One of the things you heard me today, I follow up with previous experts of the day. So I'll wait a couple of weeks, or maybe once you have an update, whether you accept the offer or not. I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Maybe when you officially make that decision, we'll call you and you can talk about it. So fascinating show. I knew you'd be amazing, and you were. Learned a lot. Can't always say you learn anything from Tech Tuesdays. You did definitely today, hopefully. So thank you for that, Dr. Beal. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Richie, wherever you are. I don't know. Can we get another screen minute for Richie? Can you ever
Richie's in.
can you ever get enough
house.
screen
He's
time?
signing autographs already.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
cute.
I do think we need a T-shirt with Richie, but that's another
I
topic.
love it.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, everybody.
Jason,
Great,
Owwll.
great
Hoot,
show.
hoot.
Happy holidays. See you next year.
Great show.
That's right.
Won't be here for 2 weeks. Watch the replays. Come out to Jingle and Mingle tomorrow night. 94th Aero Squadron near Miami Airport. Thank you again, and
Here's
Rock-
to 2025.
rock on. Keep on rocking in the free world.
There
Neil
you
Young
go.
quote.